Thank you for coming back to view the second half of my discussion on Christian relationships and dating. I hope the first half says something to you guys, and the second half is even better. So hope you'll enjoy. Bye.
All right, guys. So my next question, Harvey kind of tapped on it, is boundaries when pursuing a Christian relationship. Now, I got this question because I was listening to a podcast, and this man said, when he was courting his wife, he didn't even take her to the movies because it was too dark and it was too personal. So they would go out to dinner or go bowling, but he said nothing in the dark, nothing where they, can sit close to each other, because he felt like he was crossing boundaries. So what are your opinions on boundaries while, pursuing a Christian relationship?
I think it goes to personal conviction. There's certain, I don't have, you can take me to the movies. I'm good.
Watch your hands.
However, for me, and this is something that God just recently spoke to me about the end of last year. When I date my husband, my husband, he told me we can't kiss. He told me that we can't kiss until we get married, until our wedding day. And so when he told me that, I was like, I'm 24. What do you mean I can't? And just different things that he began to show me over time. And so that'll be one of my personal boundaries.
Right.
However, for somebody else, they might think that is absurd. Mm-hmm. So it's just personal conviction.
I agree with all that. It's all of it.
Anybody else?
You say the question again really fast.
Boundaries. What are some of the boundaries that you will have when pursuing a Christian relationship?
So I think I think there's some preferences in there. I think there's some area for some preferences. Whether or not I'm going to wait till marriage to kiss my wife, or whether it's okay to kiss my wife before marriage. I think that's preference. But I think the biggest thing, and again I go back down to purpose, is do you understand the standard of God? Mm-hmm. If you don't understand the standard of God, and it kind of lets you be loose when it comes to how you set your boundaries. Mm-hmm. And honestly, we can never play with the divine force that God has put in dating. We can never underestimate that thing. It's meant to be explosive because it's bringing that intimacy once you get married, and so you have to safeguard that. Mm-hmm. And so for some, if you know that, I think the biggest thing, are you a responsible person? Mm-hmm. Are you responsible, and have you made up in your mind that I am not going to do these things that God said, it's not going to go there? And if you know that, kissing this person that you do plan on pursuing with the goal of getting married, then that may be okay in certain contexts beforehand. However, the safe thing to do is probably not. But again, there is some area for that. And so I think with me, this is what I'll give some examples I do. I try to limit my one-on-one contact with someone that I have found an interest in. Mainly because I don't trust myself. I'm a human being. I'm a human being. They're a human being. True. And so I'm not going to put myself in a situation to where, I'm strong and have this, I'm that person that can just handle it. And then you mess up. And then you regret what you did. And then you ruin the whole relationship. And so that I try to limit that. Have I been perfect in that? No. And so, but doesn't mean I crossed over. But have I been perfect in not keeping it out of that context? No. But that, and then it's just cautious on how. Oh, this is another thing to do. I do what is called a DTR. There's some books on Christian dating. It's called Defining the Relationship. This, I tell you, as a single brother, this has saved my whole character, has saved everything about me being a godly man. And it's, what is the intentions of our relationship? Define it. Are we friends? Say we're friends. Are you pursuing me? Say you're pursuing me. Say those things, and it kind of sets a good expectation.
I have a question. Okay. When is the appropriate time to ask that question? What are your intentions?
I think that's
the
something
first
you might
day?
just have to fill out.
So, well, that's true, but I think every person, this is what I think, and I like what you said. What are some practical things? Where are you at in your life? If you know that I'm not going to get married because I'm still in school, or you don't want to get married till after school, or I'm still trying to get my life together, I ain't got no money, I can't take care of you. Realistically, how am I going to marry you right now? I can't take care of you. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, or somebody, saying whatever your context of your situation is. So realistically, you're not about to pursue them in marriage. Not everyone can pursue a long period relationship without messing up. That's just, most people would fail. Statistics show that. And some people are successful at it. That's fine. But realistically, I think you need to know where you at in your life, where you at in your intentions on getting married. And if you know you're really not there, don't open yourself up to that too
Right.
soon.
Right.
And so, but if you know, hey, I'm at the place where I really feel confident that I'm ready to pursue this or be open to God to speak to this area of my life, then you'll know that. And you got to really, know where you're at.
That's good.
I think you just have to, and I think it's being said, you just have to know what it is that you want. What really it is, what are you pursuing? What is the whole purpose of this? Because at the end of the day, let's not fake the funk and be all extra deep. We know we like to be cuddled up, hanging
I was
out.
going to say that.
And
Because I want to cuddle.
We want a good Netflix and chill session.
Right.
We
Not
come.
the first date, though.
No, not on the first.
You don't
date.
Netflix and chill the first date.
Some people don't want that on the first date, of course, yes. But I'm talking about most people are here for the Netflix and chill. We want to do that. We don't want to be always going out and hanging out. I know personally, with as much that I do, a lot of times I'm not trying to go out to Ruth Chris or freaking Applebee's or TJI Friday. I'm not trying to go out all the time. I'm just trying to sit down somewhere.
But it also depends on the person. If you feel
Right,
like I cannot Netflix and chill with this girl because I'm gonna end up slipping, and I won't say falling.
Slipping and dipping.
Yeah, slipping and dipping.
Yeah.
Then it's best for you to go out bowling, go out
Right.
to
Slipping and
dinner. But if you
dipping.
know yourself and I know I ain't finna spread it wide
Yeah.
for
Hey, raw and uncut.
There you go.
for whoever I'm dating,
Right.
then I don't see nothing wrong with catching me because I know I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do that.
Yeah. You just have to.
So it all depends on the person and where you
Personal-
are in your life.
Personal convictions,
Right.
boundaries. These are all things that each person, there's no set, like there's not a picture that's
Right,
taken,
right.
and these are the rules that we have to follow.
Right.
Because people are going to interpret the
Right.
scriptures, they're going to interpret their own personal convictions a certain way. And I'm at the point to where in my life, because I grew up in the Pentecostal church, you couldn't look at nobody for more than 2 seconds, and you was falling, you was lusting, you were a wet devil, you everything, And at this point, I'm trying to be more practical with my understanding about life and your relationships with people, because everything's not going to be colored in the box. You're not going to color everything in the box, in the lines, right? Cross your T's, dot your I's. You're not going to do it all. You're not. And so for me to try and have an expectation that's not realistic, then makes me kind of, I guess, give things a side eye. Because if we're going to be realistic about our salvation and our Christ experience, we mess up every day.
Right.
All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. It happens every day. It's not like the old saints just get up in church and say, I've been saved all day, no evil have I done. You're lying. Because you had the sin of omission, you got the sin that you was thinking about something that you didn't say, and just because it didn't come out your mouth don't mean it wasn't sin. We have these things that we are involved with, but we have to ultimately be truthful with ourselves and with God. And if we're not going to have these parameters that we're going to keep, then be for real and be like, look, this is what I like to do. I like to hold hands. I like to kiss. I like to Netflix and chill. I like to go in these dark movie theaters. I like to be in these scandalous places. This is what I like to do. So if that's what I like to do, well then let me figure out a way to try and grow from this. Because if this person that I'm with is not going to push me towards holiness, then maybe I don't need to be bothered with them.
Yeah.
They might look nice. We might have a good conversation. We might be able to be in a place together and have fun, but they're not pushing me towards holiness. So then maybe I might not want to, you good, you look good, baby, you fine, ooh, yes, God. But I can't do it.
Right.
I just can't do it. And it's no knock on you, it's no knock on me, it's just the truth of the matter.
Right.
Some of us have dipped in the water. And if you dipped in the water, you know what it tastes like. You know what it feels like. You know how it refreshes you. And so if you get refreshed by a shower, come on. I mean, if you took a shower before, you know what a shower feels like.
Right,
So when you don't have a shower, you like, man, I really need a shower.
Right.
So let's just tell the truth.
Yeah.
If you done took a shower before, you know what's going on. So
Right.
let's not be so deep and be so wonderful and act like we not in that position anymore.
Right.
Because you done took a dip. So if you took a
Right.
dip, say you took a dip, and let's talk about it. Let's be open about it. I like to take a dip. I would like to take a dip today. I'm not going to take a dip today. I mean, let's just be
Yeah,
real.
I did
If
it.
you gonna talk
I'm
about
there.
it, if you gonna talk about it, be all the way and be 1,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep,
But I mean,
Yeah.
keep these things
Preach,
so,
Michael.
so deep and stuffy.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong. That's why young people don't feel like they can talk about this with their parents, their youth leaders, in church. That's why we keep coming to these convocations, keep coming to these things. Nobody get delivered, nobody get set free. Why? Because we all bound up and we too stuffy. And I'm tired of that junk. Stop being so stuffy.
Keep that mindset because it's gonna tie into another question.
Okay, well let's
But
go.
I'm gonna ask this question for the. This question, this is personally also for me. What are some of the things that y'all do spiritually and mentally when pursuing someone? I know for me, if I meet a young man, I'm not deep, but whatever. I pray and I ask God. I say, God, I'm interested in this person. However, if this isn't your will, remove it from my life. I say that prayer every time I meet someone. So what are some of the things that y'all do when y'all are wanting to pursue someone?
I know for me, and I'm out the camera.
What's
So
up, cameraman?
I know for me, I always pray, like you said, for God's will first.
Mm-hmm.
It just like for a lot of people that are dating, looking for somebody, it always seems like they put that first, like on their like list of things that they need God to do for them. First thing I do is I always acknowledge God for who He is in my life and who He will continue to be, even if I stay single for the rest of my life. And I mean, through that, God has given me knowledge. He has allowed me to spend time with Him. So I know what a good woman is, because it says it in Proverbs 31, because that's where God reveals Himself to me through His Word. So I always seek God's face first, and then worry about everything else later.
Right. That's a good one, and that's what I do also. So I mean,
So I tell you what I do. I have a really good relationship with my leaders. I really do, and mainly because I have times where I have maybe gone past places of where I wanted to be at in relationships. And be honest, there's been a time where I've actually sat in my leader's office getting ready to marry a particular lady, and then it fell apart, which is it wasn't good. But now, since learning from those mistakes, those fallings, I've grown to trust my leaders. And so anytime I'm starting to see something, I go to my leaders all the time. I go to responsible people, and I let them know, hey, tell me about this person. Especially if it's someone they know, I'll call them like, hey, I think I'm interested. Before I tell them, I think I'm interested in this person, tell me what you see about it. Because they see things that I've never seen.
Right.
And so they can tell me that. You know what I'm saying? They can tell me, hey, actually, she A, B, C, and D, whatever it is. I don't know. And so I go to them, and then I stay accountable, and I take their counsel. And I think that's the biggest struggle. We, as young adults, because we haven't gotten the experience, we try to do things on our own outside of the experience of counsel. And it begins to get harder when we're trying to deal with ourselves. So that's something I do. I get leaders. I talk to my pastor a lot. There's some times where I sit in my pastor's office, we're so transparent. I say, Pastor, what you think about this person, this girl, this girm I'm saying like 5 girls by the time I left the office. Doesn't mean that I'm going to pursue all of them while I'm doing that stuff. Oh, just clarify. It just means, what do you think about these individuals? What kind of people are they? And allows you to get a perspective when you're sitting in a context like just chilling with everybody, and you get to see a perspective that you can ponder on, and God can begin to deal with you later down the road.
I'm sorry. Along with that, and this gun was killing me because it did not last. Along with that, so for me, I also go to my leaders, but instead of somebody, please give me a piece of paper. Along with me asking them, what do they think about this person, I may not say, because I've been with the same woman for however long, but rather than saying, what do you think about this person? What do you think about these things? Like, hey, I'm seeing this happen. I'm seeing that happen. What do you think about this? Where do you think that this could lead to? Things like that. And again, taking that counsel, because I definitely know our generation has a very big problem with correction.
Right.
Yes.
And the thing about that too, what I've seen and what I found is that your leaders know stuff about your future just by the person that you are. They can say, Harvey, actually no, because they know that person. They've seen them in a different context than what you're looking at that person. And so they can say, Harvey, I see what the gifts that you have. I see the type of person you may be a little strong-minded, and then she's kind of really timid. That may not. That's something you need to consider. Or maybe this person is like you're really timid, and they dominate. I don't know if they'll be able to give you those perspectives that can let you consider what you're getting into. They know about your future, where God is taking you.
Faith, you wanted to say?
I just wanted to echo what Harvey was saying, and I think that we've been talking about practicality. That is practical. That accountability. That is the biggest thing, and that is one of the practical ways to do it, is to go to your leaders or someone that you trust that knows you and knows how to correct. Because that is true. In our generation, we don't want to hear it. We're like, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
I love this person. This person is it. But they see things that you don't see because you're in it and they're on the outside looking in. And going to your leaders, because our pastors, our youth leaders, or whatever, they're still human beings.
Right.
So they've been through it.
Right,
So
right.
I just think that that is so important. I couldn't say it any better. Is just having that accountability. I know a lot of times we have accountability like with our peers, but you
need
also need to
seasoned
have accountability.
accountability.
Yes, with
Yeah.
someone that is
Experience,
seasoned, that has
accountability.
been through it.
Go to the others.
Yeah, I could think that was back when I was a little bit younger, my younger 20s. That was something I did not do. So looking back on it now, that's one of the things I wish I would have done. Because I was like, I can't go to my pastor and tell him the things I'm struggling with.
Right.
Or growing up, and my pastor was my dad. So it's like, I'm not going to tell him about
Right.
stuff. But now learning, that's just so, man, so true.
Yeah, having mentorship
Mentors,
is big for just your life.
Right.
And we as young people, we're in this society where they try and make you wanna. I'm me.
Right.
This is who I am. I'm
Yeah.
an individual.
Me.
You can't tell me
One
nothing.
beat.
All this,
that is-
you know.
yeah.
Willow Smith got a song that I don't even know y'all call. It's called "I'm Me," and she says, "I'm me, and it talks about what she is, what she does, who she is. It's like she came out when she was like 11. So it's like, yo, how you, who you are, you know, her parents are letting her, and so many parents letting their children just be who they are. This is who they are. I don't want to stunt their growth. I don't want to hinder their individuality. When the scripture talks so much about training, and not just a child,
Right.
but when you're training someone to become, you have so many things that you have to keep them from in order for them to get to where they need to be. And I thank God for my mentor, Prophet Nile Parker, shout out. He has really, at the end of the day, has kept me from making so many mistakes.
Yeah.
Even after I made the mistakes, picking me up, wiping me off, telling me I was still something in the eyes of God, keeping me in my spiritual connection with God in such a place to where I know that I have somewhere to go that's safe. You know, and as young people, we don't always feel safety.
Yeah.
You know, we feel like
Especially
we're
in the
alone.
church.
Right. We feel like we're alone. We feel like we're the only person dealing with it. And if people tell the truth, everybody in here has been dealing with something, one thing or the other. It might not be as extreme as the other one, but we dealt with it.
Right.
And if you don't have no one you can go to and expose yourself to, then you can't get the help that you really need.
Right.
And that's the problem. We have to go to people who we really can get assistance from. You know, that's what we really need. People who can really give us godly wisdom.
That's,
What does it say? Wisdom is in the multitude of counsel. There's safety in the multitude of counsel. There's safety. And I think it's huge too, because you don't want to waste your life. I think a lot of people are not going to be married because they wasted their life. They messed up. And I don't believe it's God's will for us to mess up. Though we still deal with a struggle in this walk. And in this whole dating process, I don't believe it's God's will. It's His will to say, look, I can get you to the place that I have for you, but you have to trust me. We struggle with that part. But I believe He can successfully get us through this time period if we trust Him and lean to, you know, what He's asking for us to do. Which is it's difficult. I'm not going to make it seem like it's not difficult.
It
It is, but
Yeah.
yeah.
okay, for time purposes, I'm going to ask one more question. And this topic is very taboo. So I'm pretty sure all of y'all know what I'm talking about. The topic of sex.
Oh my God.
I'm out.
There you go.
We finna dip in the water.
Because
if you had a shower, you know I haven't had a shower today. I want to take a shower tonight. I'm gonna take a shower in the morning. Preach, Michael. Prophet.
So, how do y'all handle, because, I mean, of course, the standard is wait until you're married, point blank, period. So how do y'all handle that in this generation? Because sex is ridiculously, that's that word right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We know what you're saying.
everywhere. Thank you. It's everywhere. Like I was saying last night on Snapchat, I can just go log on Facebook and there's porn. Why?
Unfortunately.
I can look at breasts and just log it on Facebook, Instagram. So how do y'all deal with that being young adults in this generation and wanting to pursue a godly relationship?
I want to know how somebody married does it. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, for what?
Wait, what?
No, I'm saying because they got the same stuff we deal with. They just got a ring on their
You have to
finger.
set boundaries.
But at least with them, they're able to take a shower.
But this is
We
the thing.
can.
But this is the thing. That shower might not be. They might not use the same soap in that shower. They might use a different. You got Old Spice. You got Dove. You got.
What are we talking about right now? Somebody define the subliminals here. I don't know what soap and shampoo and shower. What is those? Like
Can we
define
just
what
say
we're
what
talking
it
about.
is?
I might
How
not
we
even
been
the same
transparent?
soap.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
because some people use different
Please,
soap.
explain what
So
your
Who buys
soaps
the
are.
soap?
My wife buys the soap.
It's the same.
There you go, you know, whatever
No,
you
I'm
bring
just saying,
home.
like, so for example, he's got one wife, one woman that he goes to bed with every night.
Right.
So then what about the other women that are, you know, not his wife? The ones who are
Popping up on his news.
popping up on his new feed,
Slide
big
in the
booty, nice
DMs.
smile,
Slide in the
who
DMs.
might slide in his DMs, who might like one of his pictures late in the midnight hour, and he happened to roll over and seen the notification pop up. You know, that's what I'm like. Just because you get married, it doesn't mean that you physically aren't attracted to other things. You don't see other things that you don't
Right.
like. You know what I'm saying? So that's what
But
I'm trying
at least with the married person, he's able to, if he has that urge,
But this is
he's
but,
able to
so then this is
fulfill
my
that
thing.
urge.
So this
Wait,
is
what
my
was the
thing.
question?
About sex.
How do we deal with sex?
Yeah, how we deal with sex. in
Before
this-
marriage?
Yeah.
Then how can he can't answer right now?
No,
'cause
I
he
know. I'm
married
just.
Well,
Well,
I
I
mean-
was not always married.
We know that.
He the married one. He the one married out of everybody. So he got the most wisdom.
You the one that likes showers.
Okay, so let me
Go ahead and answer the
I'm
question.
So,
Talk about yourself.
two perspectives here, one before marriage and one after marriage.
Here we go.
So as a married person, there's a certain perspective that you do take because this marriage is forever.
Right.
Whatever message or whatever is being sent my way that I look at is a temporal thing that's going on that I'm going to deal with at that time and move on. But my wife and I are forever. Beyond sex, it's forever, right? Okay, so before being married, I did not have sex with my wife before I was married, thank God. But I was not a virgin into being married. So that was something that I felt bad about. Moving on, that's not what we're here for today. So, but that is something that I took a shower before I was married to my wife. But so the perspective is different because I had already experienced that, but I did not experience that with her. So I did come into the relationship with a different perspective than her when it came to the idea of sex, because it wasn't just a concept, but something I actually experienced. So whether for her it was more so an idea of something, right? So dealing with being attracted to her, dating her for a long period of time, and not getting involved with that kind of encompasses everything that we discussed tonight. So about your boundaries, about your idea of a relationship, your ideas of marriage, being accountable to your friends and to your leaders. And so kind of everything we talked about really goes into this sex model. If you're really about not engaging in something like that, on a spiritual level, on a natural level, all these things kind of tie into I am deciding not to engage in that. So, and it's a personal decision. Like, nobody can force you to have sex with them. Right. Like, it is your decision. It takes two people to be involved in sex. No man can stare you down and have you just have sex with them. That's not how it works. So it is a conscious decision every single day to say, this is what I choose to do. I choose not to engage with you in this way. Now, being married is a completely different space altogether, but it's not to the point where I don't know how to function as I once did. Like, I'm still aware that I'm attracted to people, that people are attractive on the internet and in real life, but it's still my decision. I have a choice to make every single day. I have to choose my wife every single day. I have to make the decision to say, I looked at this woman and said, I'm going to be with you forever. Yes. And every day, no matter how gorgeous and how sexy and all these other people are, I'm choosing her. I'm choosing her every single day no matter what. So it's a personal perspective that you have on the world. There are all kinds of just beautiful people out there. I choose my wife every day. I choose to keep myself every day. If I'm not married, I choose to do these things, and it bleeds back into everything that we talked about. So yeah, sex is important. There is a reason to have sex. God designed it for married people. God designed it for procreation. But if you are not married, why would you be sleeping with someone else's wife? Why would you be sleeping with someone else's husband? Why would you want to make that decision to have that exchange with them?
Another thing that I also believe is the soul ties.
Right.
You know, whenever you have sex with somebody, you're leaving a piece of yourself with them. And I don't understand, why would you want to have your piece of yourself around the city or around the state, or you know,
of them
with you.
Exactly.
And how many men you have slept with.
Exactly.
And I mean, and with this generation, it's just like sex is nothing. It's just like, if I feel like it, I'm gonna do it. And now it's so easy to get it because of social media. You can slide into the DMs and, you know, send your address.
It's glorified.
And it's glorified,
Yes.
exactly. And abstinence isn't. You're like with Sierra's boyfriend. People are bashing him or bashing them because they're choosing to wait until they're married to have sex.
But I think the saddest part is I expect the world to bash them. But when it's Christians that are bashing the relationship because they're trying to do it right, that's what upsets me. Is I'm just like, but you profess to be of Christ and you're bashing this relationship that is honoring him. So as a world, they don't get it. You know,
I think I think it's just hard for our generation because all you hear is just don't do it. It's designed for marriage. I don't think that's enough for our generation. I don't think it'll be enough for the next generation. So we have to be honest about I mean, it's not just because it's everywhere. It's not just because of society. Naturally, without anything
People been having
else,
sex for
we're
1,000
going to
years.
have
started not a new
Concubines and all this.
like it's going to be something you want to do. So what do we do with that? We're not just we're sexual beings. Like we're not just going to get married and then that's just going to click turned on and we just supposed to suppress it for our whole lives until that happens. So I think those conversations need to happen, and what do we do with it realistically?
I don't think enough people preach purity.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Or what is purity?
Right.
Because
We preach purity and then defined it. I think it's always don't do it, abstain, it's wrong, it's bad. God called us to purity.
I think it's guilt too because people who are trying to preach it didn't live it.
Yeah.
So they're afraid to even mention it because of their own guilt of not achieving it themselves. So yeah, that's a big responsibility to say, I'm going to get up in front of 1,000 people and say, live right and be pure, and my baby is just as older than my marriage. So it's hard.
That's the problem that we have in this generation. We put 2 and 2 and say, okay, 2 plus 2 makes 4. So how did that come about? And you trying to tell me? You know, because back in the day, they just screamed and yelled at you, slick some oil down you, and nobody was checking for nobody. They wasn't checking to see no birth certificate, who baby that was, where they come from, who your baby mama was. They didn't say all that. They just knew they was a family, they was together. But they didn't even check for the fact that, oh my God, this baby is the same age as him over there. Wait, and they not twins? Hold on, wait, what just happened?
2 plus 2
We don't. Exactly.
That's 5.
That's 5. That ain't 4. So we gonna sit up here and get on Google and try to figure out, and hold on, how many kids he got for real? When did he get married? And then now, because we are in the age to where we can look stuff up and we can find it, we can find out what the truth really is. Now we're being exposed to it, so now it's like, nah, he telling me to live pure, but Kinfolk got 6 kids out of wedlock. What's that about? And so, and it makes us not want to really believe in what's really being preached.
Right.
And I'm glad Josh hit on it because I think that's the foundation of everything that we need to know with trying to answer your question, Patty. You said, what are we doing to safeguard not having sex, essentially? And I think that is foundational because, one, we're Christians. Coming into this, we say that we love God. But in loving God, we have to understand, what does God think about purity? That should be the root of our heart. If it's not, then we need to question, and then we got a different question to ask, because your motives is driven by something that's not God.
Right.
And so now that we're assuming that we're a Christian relationship, we're pursuing that. So now, God, what do you say? I love you, so what do you say about purity? Now, our concept of purity, this is our standard. But God's concept of purity is really out of the question. You know, those type of things, allowing love to be open or awakened before its time, those kind of things is what purity, God talks about as purity. And so, God, I love you. This is what you say. Help me commit to those things, and I want to make up in mind. I'm going to commit to those things. That way, now when you have something driving against your desires to want to fulfill sex. You know, if you don't have an intention about it, it's like going a stream. The stream is going to push against everything in us that's going opposite. It's just going to push against us. And if we're not intentional about pursuing purity, we're just naturally going to go have sex. It's just going to happen.
Right. And my thing is, you do have to be intentional.
Right.
I've had discussions with guys who say, well, I just sleep over every now and then, but
Well,
we
no,
don't do
not-
anything. You're not being intentional,
You're not being intentional.
about not having sex with this
Exactly.
woman.
Exactly.
Because 2 weeks later, you're telling me that you slept. Well, yes,
Exactly.
you laid next to her all night long.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
that's
So
just a natural
practically,
thing.
you know, I'm not going to sit there having Netflix and chill. This is me. I'm not going to do that because that's not practical if I plan on trying to pursue this thing called
and marry
purity.
this person.
You know what I'm saying? You know, that's just not practical to be doing that all the time. I can't be hugged up, caked up. We're friends. We really haven't decided whether we're going to pursue each other.
Right.
And that element of defrauding, that God is not pleased with stuff like that because it defrauds what you don't even know you're going to pursue. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so stuff like that may be something practical. Or sometimes, you know, even with brothers, we're visual people. But stuff gets into our spirit, and eventually it's going to try to fulfill itself because the flesh wants to do that. So there's sometimes I have to limit myself off of social media because you can scroll through Instagram and you seeing people have sex.
Yeah.
I had to get off of Instagram because now I got a visual that's feeding something that fights against God, and then I'm trying to live pure. It's just not, stuff like that is not practical. But again, we're humans. Let's be real. We're not going to be super deep, super spiritual all the time, but we have to make an effort to say, I'm being intentional about this thing called purity because I love God. And I think that will be a driving force to try to combat not fulfilling having sex.
And having a partner who also
has
that
that.
same.
Right.
Because if you're with someone who doesn't,
Like, yeah,
then they're
take
constantly
yours.
pulling out something that you're trying to keep in.
That should be a
So-
sign.
Yeah,
Right. That's a sign.
That's a spiritual
Sure, it
concept.
is.
And we don't always talk about the spiritual concepts. And I'm not saying you're going to walk around and be fleshly all the time. What I'm saying is, if you do have the power of God living on the inside of you, which is supposed to lead and guide your life, then ultimately these signs will follow.
Right.
They shall, and they're supposed to.
Right.
The scripture says that these signs will follow them that believe. So then if they're supposed to follow the ones that believe, we shouldn't mirror the image of what non-believers look like.
Right.
If we then look exactly like them because we're trying to reach them or because we're trying to be young or trying to be hip and all this other stuff, because we then are now not just defrauding, but we're making God look like a liar.
Right, exactly.
We're making him look like not what his scripture, not what the word says. The Holy Writ tells us exactly what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to modify
And it
life.
makes it no better because not recently, but I have talked to other young adults and they really feel like there's nothing wrong with fornication. Like it's okay, you know, we're human. God gave us mercy and grace, and it's like you can't abuse His grace and His mercy. And so with that, for a non-believer, they see, you know, somebody who says they're saved but still fornicating, they're confused.
And I think that goes back to, again, this is the cameraman talking. Like a lot of people our age, like they want to stay so stuck in like that salvation stage with Jesus. Like Jesus saved me from these bad things. Like I need Jesus to save me, but what about the abundant life that He promised us? Like, that's where purity comes in, where we know that Jesus now lives inside of me, and the old man has died. And I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of reaching to, like this thing called the old man. Like, man, like you said, like, man, I used to want to take a shower all the time, but it's just like, Jesus lives inside of me now, so I don't have to. It's like, this is the thing that fights against the pornography, the girl with the big butt. It's Christ. Trust me, because if it was up to me, I'd be rocking them ankles every night. You know, like, but that's the truth. But people really don't understand the power of Christ, and that's what leads to the
And,
Spirit. I think that's the one we see.
And I like that, and I think that especially as Christians, that's so important. If you look at your life practically, are you pursuing the things of God? The things of God just doesn't hop in you by osmosis. You have to pursue them. You have to pursue the love of God. And when you pursue that, a Christian will begin to get consumed with those desires. And certain things, and I'm not saying you'll always be perfect, but it's like, dang, I'm not thirsting after that. I'm not, you know, as much as it's awesome, but there's something that's just burning on the inside of me that's more fulfilling, more satisfying than just chasing. You see what I'm saying? But you don't get that by osmosis. You get that by pursuing the things of Christ. The Bible says, walk in the Spirit, and you will not fulfill what? The lust of the flesh. What is the lust of the flesh? Sex before marriage, fornication. Those things. So, but that can't happen unless you're pursuing. I want to know more of God. I want to know more of what it's like. I want to be in the Word, be in prayer, being around people that's thriving to be after these things of God. And if not, you're just going to go with the stream of your flesh and of the world, and you can't think that you're going to just resist it.
And I think it goes with your maturity level.
Right.
If you're going to have this walk, and we're going to all be a part of the same walk, if this is what we're doing, then we have to want to grow in grace.
Right.
You know, we can't use the grace as a reason to fall. As a reason to say, you know, I'm just, you know, I got grace on my side, you know, so I'm good. The grace is like the fuel that drives the car. The grace is what's going to get me to the next level. Because without the grace, I can't get to the next level. His grace is sufficient, not for me to be able to fall, but for me to get to the next level.
You're going to be naming your daughter Grace.
Right. Your daughter going to be Grace. And that's we have to be ones that think about, okay, I'm going to the next level. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to go to this next place in God. Because if not, you'll be stuck in the same spot, having the same conversations, doing the same old junk. And that's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. We can't be insane Christians. We can't do that. You know what I'm saying? We can't be insane and then try and preach something to a dying world and they just looking at us laughing like we ain't got no power. Because half the stuff ain't powerful because we don't really live and have the experience of this true Christ that we talk about. We don't have this experience. So then the music that we get, the messages that get preached to us, none of it really causes or affects change. It doesn't affect change because the people we're now getting it from don't really do it.
Conversation about
we had this conversation.
Some of the gospel music.
You know, the
nothing behind it.
We still singing old Kirk Franklin.
Yeah, I'm still rocking that Kirk Franklin the Family out.
You know, and that's the problem. We're rocking old stuff. The old stuff is what got us through. And we talk so much, we talk trash about it. We say, oh, that's too old. We trying to mix it up and get the new stuff. Well, the new stuff ain't got no power on it. That's the problem. We trying to hear this new stuff, and it's not getting us to the next place. The new stuff I listened to, and then I went out and screwed. So then, what's the problem? Then something's wrong. Because if I go listen to something old, it convicts me. Something makes me feel different about this experience.
And we're not saying all the new stuff. Put the camera on me. We're not saying all the new stuff has no power. Just a lot of the stuff that we have personally just listened to.
Like, Jamisha, I think another practical thing too, and I'm glad a point was brought up here. I think it's totally impractical for a person who's trying to pursue God to be sitting around the house listening to love and sex songs all the time. When you hear Christians doing that, I'm just talking about love, and I'm not saying love is bad. But when you're out of season, you're going to stir some things up. You stir up love.
What kind of love are you talking about?
And now eventually, and love is good. Love is meant to be explosive. Love is meant to be impactful, and is meant to be in the context of marriage so that it lasts forever. But I think when we stir up those things, listening to certain things, being very irresponsible with this thing called purity, it's going to find, its fulfillment somewhere.
But then again, I also feel like it depends on the person. Because for me personally, I am abstaining from sex. And I do love songs. Like I love Luther Vandross. I love
Big Luther, Little Luther.
Big Luther. Now, come on.
Yes.
Come on, Luther.
I mean, I do. And I don't know. I don't know if it's just me, but it really don't take me to that lustful place at all. I listen to the way they sing.
But I think you have boundaries because I was listening to you. It's not like that's what you're listening to all the time. There are some people, and this is one of the things I'm going to be very transparent that I have struggled with listening to secular music, and I'm just now learning as I'm getting in my old 20s. like that music is so powerful,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah.
it gets in your
Yeah.
soul, and you start thinking about all these different things.
Right.
With
Right.
Adele,
Right.
talking about hello, I'm gonna
Yeah.
come from the other side, and everything on my legs.
No, not
You know,
me.
stuff up, you know what I'm
Like,
saying?
man, hey, man, what you?
Yeah, so it's like you find balance because you're also feeding your spirit. So it's just finding, but that is true personal conviction and just you
Right.
know finding that balance.
I feel like
and not
media
just
in
letting-
general, though, like music,
have that.
television, movies,
Right.
you have to be careful in general
Yes.
because it will create things in your mind that aren't necessarily true. So,
Right.
Scandal and all these certain shows, like
Yes.
that's not real life. That's not real life. So you have to be careful with music and stuff like that anyway. Because it creates these thoughts in your mind that aren't necessarily true for you
Right.
in your life, in your real
Right.
life situations.
Right.
Just because Brandy's singing about that doesn't mean it's for
Right.
you. That's not about you.
Right.
And you open, I think you open it, like you open your mind to experiences. I can, there was a movie came out, and again, y'all can, you have y'all's thoughts about it, but even like for example, movie Temptation, what was it, Temptation?
The Tyler Perry movie?
Yeah. So there was a lot
I
of,
didn't see that.
there was a lot of sisters though who are walking pure. Now their heads are spinning because the context was painted in their spirit that they never knew about.
Right.
They never knew about, but they opened themselves up. Now they have something in their mind to fight against them in this thing called purity that God maybe never had intended for them to be open. God never intended for you to even have a thought about this context, but now it's painted in your spirit for entertainment. You know what I'm saying?
And that's not to say that movies or whatever are
Right.
bad.
It just,
But for me, I can sit and watch a movie and be like, this is what the movie was about, and I sit it over here and I can walk away.
Right.
So it
Right.
just depends
Yeah.
on the
On the
person.
person's responsibility.
Like, I can
Yeah,
listen to this
responsibility.
song and put it here on the shelf because that's what that song's about, and I'm moving
Exactly.
on with my life.
Exactly.
So
Everybody can't deal with it.
Right.
Right.
It goes on your maturity level.
Right.
You gotta be, and I think it's great that he said it. You gotta be a responsible person.
yeah.
If you're responsible with your relationship with God, just like your relationship that I have with my best friend or anybody else, I'm responsible enough to know that there are certain things I say, certain things I do, certain times I call, certain times I can't call, because it's responsible for the relationship.
Exactly.
I know right now I can't call my best friend after 11 o'clock. She will not answer my phone call. She won't. She won't answer
Boundary.
that.
It's boundaries.
Hey, that's yeah.
But that's something that you have to have in your own walk. You know, that's the way you're gonna hold yourself. You gotta hold yourself accountable because it'll do it.
and you need to start now before you get married. You need to set those boundaries now.
Okay, sorry to cut this off. The discussion is awesome. I wish we had more time. We only have 2 minutes left. So I hope something was said. Y'all don't understand how much y'all spoke to me and how I was convicted of some things that I have done in the past or some things I thought was right. And y'all shared some insight on that. So thank y'all so much for that. And I just hope that something was shared that blessed y'all as well. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all. Bye, Periscope.
Oh, Periscope.
Bye.